Welcome to the container garden, which is located inside of the Tarrant County Master Gardener's demonstration garden. This garden was started or created in 2013. It was an intern project for that class of 2013, and each group was broken down into sections, so each group had a section that they designed and they created. Most of what you see in this garden now is still part of that original design. There's a few things that have changed only because we've lost some roses due to rose rosette, and then some plants have not made it over the years. Not everything lasts forever, so there have been a few changes, but a lot of what is out here right now is what was originally designed in 2013. So in this first section, this one was created. They built a fence back here in the background, and then they put a crossvine, so it created a nice barrier and a nice backdrop for what was planted in front of it. We have some different style pots. We have large terracotta pots. We have metal buckets. We have plastic pots, hanging pots. A lot of different elements in this garden, and this does get more shade. This is the one section of the garden that gets more shade than any of the others, but it still gets quite a bit of afternoon sun. In this next section, this is one of the sections that originally there was a Peggy Martin rose planted here, and it did very well for several years, but unfortunately it developed rose rosette, so it had to be taken out. So that's left a large area that's open. So we've just added, for the time being, until it's cool enough that we can replant another plant here, we've just added a design element just by putting in a door. So in our container garden, that's the fun thing. We can move things around, we can change things, we can design it as we go. Most of what is here, though, is original. The backdrop, the wall, along with some other fun elements on the wall, the window and the window box. And we've got our statue and our bird bath that we filled with an ice plant. And then we have another pot here next to the lamb's ear that has some zinnias in it, and behind that is our flame acanthus that was original to this garden.
The Tarrant County Master Gardener Association has partnered with the Tarrant Regional Water District to encourage water conservation. TRWD maintains 4 area lakes and pipelines needed to provide surface water to local water treatment plants so they can clean that water to meet drinking standards for our communities. They also work with many cities in Tarrant County, such as Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, and many others, to provide water conservation programs to the community. Conservation is an important water supply strategy to help meet the needs of our growing population. There are currently 2.3 million people living in Tarrant County, and this is expected to double over the next 50 years. At SaveTarrantWater.com, you can sign up for free weekly watering advice custom to your location. If you're a resident of Tarrant County, you can sign up for a free sprinkler's checkup, where a licensed irrigator comes to your home, provides a comprehensive evaluation of your system with recommendations to reduce water waste. There's also an event calendar where you can find information about future classes and workshops. So be sure and check out SaveTarrantWater.com to sign up for their free services.
In this corner, they've built a trellis, and then they planted a honeysuckle vine, so that would give it some shade for the afternoon. And there is a Japanese maple here that I believe is a weeping maple. I'm not sure on the name, and there's no plant marker for this one, but I believe that is Japanese maple. And then this garden has been sectioned off with rock. It was kind of the rock garden in the beginning, and we have several large pots, and then we've also used metal troughs for planters here. We have 2 shorter ones and then 1 taller one, and these have been out here since the garden started, And they've done very well with plants in them. We have a red yucca that is in the taller one. And then these, the two shorter ones, we use those seasonally for different color. In the summertime we will put, as you can see, a sweet potato vine in it, or zinnias. In the winter we'll put pansies in them. So we changed this out to give the garden a little bit more color. In this section, this was originally more roses than anything. Unfortunately, the roses again had rose rosette, so most of those have had to come out. We still have one left. It will have to come out. So we've replanted with some dwarf pomegranates and other things that we know we won't have to take out because of the disease of rose rosette. We still do have some drift roses here. We have the crepe myrtle that they put in, that was an original. And then a few of the things in the front, the lantana was original, but we've added in a few other things just to give it some color and add to the landscape. The metal sculpture was put in originally. That was part of the original design, as well as the fence behind here. And you can see that this garden has got a two-tier, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this one has a two-tier level. So we have the lower level and then a taller back level. So in a container garden, it doesn't necessarily have to be a pot that you're planting in. You can make a container garden out of brick, out of wood. You can make them different levels, but it's still a contained area that is more manageable for whatever your needs are. So in the center of our container garden is a fountain that was installed inside of a raised bed. And this is probably one of my favorite parts of this garden, just because it is very unique and it's very much an eye catcher when you walk into the garden. Because the raised bed underneath it is so large, we have planted it with a purple sweet potato vine, and it fills up very quick. It's very cost efficient, and it really pops whenever you walk into the garden. And then the top, because the top of the fountain is pretty shallow, we use it as a succulent garden. So it's filled with rock and some succulent soil, and we have planted some succulents in there which the roots do not grow deep, so it's perfect for that, and it gets a lot of daytime sun, so the succulents just thrive in this type of pot or container. This is a great way if you have a small space and you are looking and you want something to add interest to your space, or you want a garden but you do not have a lot of room. This vertical garden or ladder garden is a great way to do that. And this was built in 2013 as part of this container garden, and the ladder was built on risers, or as risers, and then they just took these plastic window boxes and attached them to the wood. So this is, because this is the one area in this garden that is completely shaded, we're able to grow shade plants here in this garden. And a major thing to realize whenever you are container gardening is all of these containers have a drip system in them. So they are watered each, I think it's every other day they get water during the summer. But it's important to make sure that any container, you monitor the water level in your containers to make sure that they get enough water or they're not getting too much water. Now, depending on the plant you put in, some plants don't need a lot of water, but they're going to need more water than if you put them in the ground. Some plants, once you get them in the ground, they do just fine if they're watered once a week or ever so often, because they can pull that moisture from the soil. But in a pot, those roots don't have anywhere to grab moisture from. So when they dry out, they're going to die. So you do need to keep an eye on the moisture level in a pot. And a great way to do that is with the moisture meter. And you can add those to your pots. And I have one, I can show you what it is. A great way to monitor how much moisture you have in the pot to see if the plant needs to be watered. It's a moisture meter. And you just put that in close to the roots of your plant, and then it will tell you if it's dry or wet or needs water. So to check the moisture of a plant, you want to just make sure that you're getting it in at the root. You just push it down in and let it sit. And this one shows that it's moist. The little meter has gone across and it shows it's right in. So these are doing very well, because you want these impatiens to stay moist. So that's great. This vine, they're all staying about the same, and it's showing moist as well. And you can take this little meter around with you as you're watering your plants. Yep, it's doing great. It shows it's moist. So yeah, you can carry one of these with you as you're watering your house plants or your potted plants out on your deck or your porch or patio. This thing is great because it'll save you a lot of worry and a lot of expense, because if you're overwatering your plants and they die, you're going to have to replace the plant. So this is worth it to pick this up. So in this last section of the container garden, there was a lattice wall divider built here, and another vine was planted on it as well. And there are some pots back in here that is kind of hard to see right now because everything has grown and matured for summer. But everything in this garden is original to what was planted here in 2013. You have flame acanthus, we have some phlox, we have a creeping rosemary, some four-nerve daisy. But you can see this is just a really pretty color combination here, and they did a really good job putting this in. It's just that once everything matures, you really can't see your pots sitting back here. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Using pots in a landscape is a great way to add color and contrast and interest. But keep in mind, when things mature and grow, are you going to be able to see those pots, or do you need to elevate those pots so you can see them? Thank you for walking through the container garden with me, and we would love to see you out. This is a public garden, or it is open to the public. It is the Tarrant County Master Gardeners demonstration garden, but it is open to the public. We'd love to have you come out and visit, walk through the gardens. Thank you for coming. Goodbye.